Hi guys, so today we are going to be combining like terms with positive terms. So everything we're going to see today is positives. This is a review. You learned this in chapter 1 last year in 6th grade. But again, we're going to do a quick review of what this is. First, you're going to be able to identify constants, variables, and coefficients. These are vocab words you learned last year, but we are going to review what these vocab words are again. Then we're going to be able to combine like terms in a problem. So let's go ahead and review some vocabulary. These are words you learned last year, but I'm going to guess it's been a while so you don't remember them. Please make sure you write these down in your notebook. So the first word we're going to look at is a constant. A constant is just numbers that have no letters attached to them. We've been learning what constants are our whole life. Okay, 1, 7, 18, 24.7, -9, -100. I sometimes call these lonely numbers. Okay, it's just a number. There's no algebra, there's no variables, no letters attached, just the number. Whereas in the word variable, variable is a letter that represents an unknown number. So sometimes in math, we don't know numbers. We don't know them yet. So we put a variable in its place. So instead of a question mark plus 2 equals 5, we can put a variable in there. X plus 2 equals 5. And then we try to figure out what X is. Variables can be any letter from the alphabet. Here's some examples there. We do use lowercase letters when we're using variables. A coefficient is the number that's in front of a variable. So sometimes you'll see a 4x. Well, the 4 is the coefficient there. It's attached to a letter. 12 is the coefficient in this one, and 13 is the coefficient in 13z. So again, the number in front of the variable, if there is one. Sometimes you'll just see x by itself or y by itself. Terms now is the whole thing. So coefficient was just the number in front. Variable was just the letter. A term is the number and the letter put together. So the whole thing is a term. 12y, that's a term. 13b, term. 9c is a term. Now, like terms are pretty much the same thing as terms, but they have the same variable. So 4x and 12x are like terms. They have the same variable. Whereas 4x and 12y, those are just terms. They're not like terms because they have a different variable there. You cannot combine a term if it's not alike. It's not the same type of variable, then you cannot combine them. And that's what we're going to be reviewing today. If you need more time, we can pause the video, but we're going to be moving on. So I want us to think real quick, how many of each fruit are there in this picture? If you were to count up the apples and count up the oranges, how many fruit do you see? Well, if I were to count my apples, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apples. And if I were to count my oranges, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oranges. I'm going to put an R for oranges because O sometimes tends to look like a number, and that might look like 50 instead of 5. So I have 6 apples and I have 5 oranges. I can put a plus sign there for and. 6 apples and 5 oranges. Now, does that mean I have 11 apples? No, it means I have 6 apples and 5 oranges. Okay. Do I have 11 oranges? No, I have 6 apples and 5 oranges. You can't combine them because they're not the same thing. Apples and oranges are different. So we could leave them as separated. 6 apples and 5 oranges, done. You cannot combine because they are different types of fruit. That's the same thing with terms. If it's a different variable, they do not go together. But if they're the same variable, you can combine them. So when I look here, this is review. I have 5b plus 3b. That's like saying I have 5 bananas and 3 bananas. So I need to figure out how many bananas do I have total. Well, 5 bananas and 3 bananas can be combined to give me 8 bananas. So remember, combining like terms is just adding the variables together if they're the same, adding those terms together if they're like terms, not adding them together if they're not like terms. They have to be the same letter in order to add them together. Let's go ahead and look at another one. We have 9y plus 7 plus 9y. Well, I need to figure out what are my like terms. So I'm going to circle my y's in orange. I circled the plus in front of that second one because that's telling me what type of math I'm even going to do. So I have 9y and 9y. Well, how many y's is that total? That's 18 y's. I'm going to circle my plus 7 in a different color here because it doesn't have a y attached. So I cannot combine that. I just leave that plus 7 out on the end, and that's as far as I can simplify. I can't simplify anymore because the 18 here has a y, but the 7 doesn't. So they do not go together. You can only combine if they have the same variable attached. So go ahead and you try this one. Try it in your notebook. We'll pause the video while you work. All right, so let's see here. What can we combine? What things can go together? Well, I see a b, so I'm going to circle the b first. I've got plus 10b, which really just means a positive 10b, that plus in front. And I've got a plus 4b. So I have positive 10b's and positive 4b's. That really gives me 14b's. Then I'm going to, in a different color, circle my constants, my lonely numbers. They don't have letters attached. So 9 and a minus 7. Well, 9 minus 7 is 2. Positive 2 or plus 2. 14b plus 2. Go ahead and you try this one as well. It's a little bit longer here. Combining those like terms. We'll pause the video while you work. All right, so in my pink, I'm going to circle all the k's. I have an 8k and a minus 4k. Well, 8k minus 4k is going to give me 4k. Now I'm going to move on to my h. I have a positive 7h or a plus 7h. I don't see any other h's, so plus 7h is just going to stay exactly the way it is. And then I've got a positive 8 and a positive 2. That creates a positive 10 or a plus 10. 4k plus 7h plus 10. That's as simple as you could get. You can't combine any more because k and h are different variables and 10 doesn't have a variable on it at all. Let's go ahead and review our next skill. We did learn about the distributive property last year in chapter 1. So the distributive property basically is saying that I have 5 groups of x plus 4. So I have x plus 4. 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 One more. Whew, we're almost there. And I have another x plus 4. That's what this is saying. 5 groups of x plus 4. So how many x's do I have total? Well, if I count up my x's, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fours. Well, 5 fours is really 20. So I have 5 x's and 20. Now, what if that number 5 was like a 40? Are you going to write x plus 4 40 times? No. There's a quicker way to do the distributive property than writing it out like we did over there. This is saying I have 5 x's, so 5 times x gave me 5x, and 5 times 4 gave me 20. This is called the distributive property. I'm distributing the 5 to everything inside the parentheses. And then whatever my symbol is in the middle, I just carry that straight down. Let's go ahead and you try a distributive property example. We'll pause the video while you work. Okay, so this is saying I have 2 groups of 9 plus g. I have 2 9s, which is really 18, plus I have 2 g's, which is really just 2g. I can't combine anymore because 18 is a constant. It doesn't have any letters attached. And 2 has a g attached. G and nothing cannot combine together. Let's go ahead and look at a little bit more tricky one using distributive property. So I'm going to use that distributive property on the 7 groups of b plus 2. So this is really saying I have 7 b's plus 7 2's, which is 14. Don't forget about this 8b out in front. Let's bring that down. Now I can combine like terms. I still have more things to combine. So my 8b plus my 7b can really create 15b plus 14. I can't combine the 15 and the 14 because one has a b on it and one does not. Let's go ahead and you try this one. Use the distributive property, and then if you can, simplify even more. We'll pause the video while you work. All right, so we're going to apply that distributive property first. This is saying I have 6 3's, which is really 18, plus I have 6 m's, which is really 6m, and then of course my plus 7 here needs to be rewritten. Now I see that I have some like terms that could be combined. I have 2 constants here, an 18 and a plus 7. 18 plus 7 is going to give me 25. And then that 6m, there's no other m's, so that just stays plus 6m. I can't do anything with that 6m. So 25 plus 6m. So that was a quick review on distributive property and combining like terms. Remember that you can only combine letters. I'm going up to our example up here. You can only combine letters that have the same variable, that have the same letters, like terms only. So I can't combine this 8K with this 7H because they don't have like terms.